Okay, so here's the deal. If you're a business owner who ever stared at your financials like they're written in another language, or perhaps even worse, ignored them until tax season panic kicked in, today's guest is about to change your life. Margo isn't just an accountant, she's a financial interpreter, a business therapist, and a strategy whisperer rolled into one. She's helped thousands of entrepreneurs stop drowning in their numbers and finally feel in control. From being ranked number one New York's top bookkeeper to creating a powerhouse video platform and running a thriving CFO firm, she's basically rewriting the way small businesses handle money. But I don't want to start with all your resume because I can go on. But let's start with the real story. So, Margo, welcome to the show.
I'm so grateful to be here. You have no idea. I was really, really excited. I was like counting down the days to be on to be on this podcast.
I'm honored. Thank you. So let's flip the usual script. Like I don't want to go through like how did this start, but I want to know like who you were before all of it.
So I grew up in a Jewish community, and I was always around where the topic of money, it was hard. It was something that you really had to work a gazillion hours to obtain. And I'm the youngest of three, and I was always this shy girl in the corner where I thought that only the cool kids get to have money. And I was thinking that there had to be a better way. For fun, I enjoy yoga. I love to be with my kids. I love to cook. I love nutrition. I'm always evolving. I'm always some type of education where I'm going for the next level as a person and as a business owner. I feel like it's really, really important to lead by example. You know, when I was a kid, it would always be like, you should be doing, and it just didn't feel good. And I didn't want my surroundings to be that way. And, just for fun, just my activities ended up being for who I am today. And it's really cool to look back and even talk about it today.
For sure, because I think that when you're talking about your past of who you were before all this started, many people don't realize that that's who they always were, and now what they do is combined. Like when why I asked this question is because many people are like, oh, I had an idea, and I'm like, yeah, but now I know who you are because you told me who you were before, and now I want to understand like what is the pain you're solving. I try to put it in the intro that so many people fear finance more than anything. Like I know people that don't open the credit card statement because they're afraid to check it. I know people that don't do their taxes until someone says it's due tomorrow.
Yeah.
What happened with you? Why were you like, oh, were you one of those that also felt that fear, or were like, why do people fear this? I can help them understand how not to do it.
You know, my first video that I ever did when I ended up being in business was around it's okay to open up your credit card statement. It's okay to open up your bank statement. It's not going to bite you when the envelope is opened. It's just going to be there to be as an informative or like this little report. For me, the way it happened and why it happened is because my surroundings was always in some type of stress, saying that money was hard. I saw that my family, it was always a stress. And then in the Jewish culture, to a degree, everything was around money. We have to send our kids to private school. You have to buy a house. It all became with a lot of like demand words of what needed to be. And my body would always like crawl up, and it would just feel so terrible. And I was like, there got to be a better way. And I found a gap in the market of where business owners didn't understand the accounting jargon of where I really thought I could be valuable. And I would see that business owners would really struggle with something, and I didn't see it as a struggle. And in college, there was this one opportunity where a very big designer, it was actually Joseph Abboud, and he approached me to do bookkeeping work for him. And I'm like, me? Don't you want the teacher in the room who actually knows what they're doing fully? And he was like, no, I want you, Margo. And he paid me to do it and learn. And it's just kind of really what happened. And when I was in the accounting firm, when I first came out of school, I actually chose my first job because it was near Bloomingdale's. And I was like, how cool am I? I'm an accountant now. I'm on my way to get my CPA, and my job is going to be near Bloomingdale's. The people were just so unhappy. They were really grumpy all the time, were working till 2 in the morning. And I was like, this is just not a way to be. And then when I started to work on my own, uh, I was adapting that default. I was adapting what I was told, and that lifestyle was coming upon me. And one day, the marketer who I was working with, he said to me, oh no, Margo, that only happens for my higher level accounts. And it would constantly be at this distinction. So everything around me was always people who paid more, who worked harder, and all of these things that just would make my body cringe. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to figure this out on my own. And then through one concept at a time, when I started to figure it out and people liked it, the key there was really doing more listening than talking. You know, if somebody were to tell me today that our team does full tax work and we're full service, I would feel like, are you joking me? Like right before this, I happened to log into my email, and one of our clients wrote, hi everyone, hi team. And it was like the biggest ring in my body, because that's something that evolved over time, the right team, and to see clients come into that. So to wrap this back to loop this back together, around money, you have to not want to live that way. You have to think that this is not the way to be, and it doesn't have to own you. And if it does own you and you're okay with that, cheers, it's perfect. For those who don't, and those are fear, that's where Heartfelt CFO came about, which used to be called Margo's Bookkeeping, to really work with people and be friends with your numbers. Realize that your numbers is not your enemy. Your numbers are your keys and your clues to your next steps. And when you see that one number at a time, that it speaks a story, versus increasing hard on marketing or doing more, and it doesn't really go anywhere, or it just burns the budget, or if it burns the credit card, and then you're stuck with these feelings after. I mean, how many of us have paid marketing bills and coaches that we thought that we were wronged about, and that we didn't get what we really went in for? It's because we really didn't know where we were going. And it probably did something, but the numbers that spoke the story is really what builds the dream. I think about it like this, is that when you go into the store, do you like buying Starbucks or do you like buying Dunkin'? Lately, we like buying Starbucks. We used to be big Dunkin'. But you think about your lifestyle, about what you want and how you want to live. And seeing how everybody grew up, I just said to myself that there has to be a better way. And over time, clients just asked for things. I was doing just bookkeeping. I would do it all myself. I would do all the marketing myself and all the bookkeeping, all the client retention. And then one day, as things evolved and people would come in to help and all of those things, and it just increased the value to have a team. And if you're out there, you're afraid of numbers, you're afraid of money, it's all pretend. There's nothing to be afraid of, because it's not going to bite you. If anything, it wants to be like, hey, I got something to tell you so your life could be easier. And when you break through that other side, that's the magic. That's the dream.
I love it. I love it because I'm on your side. I work in investments, I help people invest, and number one is people feel fear. People feel uh, unknown territories. They feel Like I might be working with the most brilliant dentist, and he might be the at top of his game, but when it comes to investing, he's a beginner. And just that feeling of how do I start, or where do I put my money? What do you think? It's such a vulnerable moment. So I want to touch 2 points that you said. What was the feeling when that first person trusted you with their numbers? Like how did that make you feel? And then we'll go on to the next one that I have a bullet ready for you.
Okay. It was like the best feeling in the world. It's like I got the diamonds that I was waiting for my whole life. I was like, I did it. He wants me. And like, I would look in the mirror and I would be like, okay. But I also invested into myself, into knowing that each day I still had to talk to him as if he was like a guest, or like I was being interviewed, because I didn't know where it was going. But it was the best feeling in the world that somebody wanted my voice. And after my whole life, really keeping it shut. And I mean keeping it shut. When I would see things wrong and you're pushed into the corner because you're not made to believe a certain way, it's just a whole new way of life. My body opened, my shoulder, and I could envision the moment right now when he was doing it. Like I was 19, like literally jumping up, because what I said resonated, that this, similar to what you're saying, this older person who needed what I had, and he couldn't do it. And he said to me, he's like, Margo, he's like, I can't do it. He goes, but I've seen you and you can. And I was like, you betcha. You betcha. But I also want to just touch on also what you said around when they don't know and it's a vulnerable moment for them. It took me a long time to realize that, is that where they are being vulnerable, it's okay for them to feel that way, because that feeling, when they are that way, they receive the information better. It's not putting them on a pedestal. It's seeing that you're keeping them in their garden of their genius zone and elevating them with other skills. So if it's investing that you're doing for them, or I'm doing taxes or bookkeeping, whatever it is, I'm able to help people in their genius zone stay in there and now elevate their surroundings, which would be their wealth building, their family, a team, and the ripple effect of anybody who's near them.
I love that concept. I think that's an awesome, first of all, awesome way to. I can envision you. I can see you, 19-year-old, being like, I was afraid of money. I was afraid of this. And then suddenly you prepared yourself, and suddenly that person recognized you and
Yeah.
said, Margo, I see you can do this, and I'm gonna trust you with it. And you said, come on, let's go. My question, and you kind of answered it, it's how do you take people, or what's the first step when someone comes to you and says, Margo, I'm terrible with money, which is, I get this question a lot. I have terrible with money. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? What do I do?
There are a series of questions that I have to ask. However, in terms of really being able to implement and give them steps. But for me, what's important is understanding them as a person, the relationship of what got them there. Most accountant firms will keep you into the box and just put you onto like a default method of a process. I like to understand the owner of what got them there in the first place and really what their priority is. An average person can come in with like 6 to 12 different issues, as much as 20 plus. If I want to solve everything, I'm going to solve nothing. So once we establish the relationship, usually they ask me to work together because they're seeing that I'm a person and that I'm not on their other side. I'm there as their support. We then build steps of a process. And I always say, let's start with one thing and then let's build. Most of the time, clients do sign up for a number of services. I'll be honest. I always say, let's start with one. However, they do sign up with a number because they complement each other, and how I've built the the services. Like you said, I did rewrite on how money and tax is supposed to be on our firm, and people love it because it complements and it really just builds on each other.
Yeah, and I expected that answer, but you said it even more clearly than I could have articulated. It's really understanding people, and the part I want to highlight is you're on their side, you're on their support system. People need to say vulnerably, like, I am an excellent whatever their profession is, but this stuff is hard, and I understand it's hard, but there's people like you that can help them overcome it, and one problem at a time. And this is really it's very, like, if you people don't realize that for every problem there's a solution. They kind of don't think, they think it's a problem and it's just a problem.
Right. They have to be open to solving it and feel that safe space to really open that somebody is listening to them, because the belief or the default is that I'm paying you, you should do. And that's not the way our values and the culture that I built in Heartfelt CFO. And I'll tell you a story. This week, or maybe it was actually 2 weeks ago by now, an old client came back and she wanted services. And she was talking to me in that nature of, I'm telling you to do. And that doesn't work, because we're not on the same side on how we're creating this relationship again. And now she has done previous work, a lot of work with me, but she also had a significant amount of work that was behind, that the current work that she was looking to do really didn't have a basis, and the foundation was very weak. So even though somebody was willing to pay me to do stuff, good money, I didn't accept the work. I actually respectfully declined it, because how we were working together just won't resonate with the culture of the firm and the team. It's just not how we do it. And if I want the results that I'm able to do for you, with you, and all of the above, it just doesn't work. And when people come in with that old belief of, like, I pay you, and of that nature, like, a huge objection used to be around, oh, I can get somebody inside and it could be so much cheaper. Great, go for it. Let me know how that goes. Chances are you're going to come back to me in 90 days and beg for services. you know, Go for it, because they have to see how it is on the other side. But that old belief system of, without giving that door, it doesn't create the transformations, and it won't get easier, because you know what happens? The behavior and the actions don't change, and the hard is still hard. Then they'll see our fees also as an expense, when our fees are always an investment. There's not one client that I have that they're not getting back their investment with us in some type of way. It just doesn't happen, because I know I accept work, and there's a system, and when the system is followed, it always produces. One client just this past week, her return, she got, like, and it was unheard of, like 41% return. It was insane to watch her. It was insane. And it was a single mom, and I was just so thrilled for her. I was like, congratulations. She's like, you're telling me congratulations? I'm like, you just got great results. And she's like, but I paid you, but I'm happy for you. People don't believe it's possible. But if I'm not on your side, you're not going to grow. We benefit. I learn from my clients too all the time. It's just a win-win.
And this is a beautiful story, an example of how many misconceptions there are regarding finances,
Oh,
regarding
I can
what you
go on
can
and on.
do. Exactly. I'm sure there's like,
I
and,
can
and
say so many.
and I'd love to hear them.
There's
It's,
so many. And it really, sorry to cut you off,
of
it
course.
bothers me, because people then think accounting is such a hard industry. Tax is hard. It's hard because you filter it that way. It's hard because you choose to see it that way. But I get to be on this podcast and talk about it and share it with you. I get to do this work for other people, and to have the ripple effect for their families, along my family and my kids. If it wasn't for my work, my daughter now was going to the school of her dreams, and a lot of things were possible for her. I didn't have possible for me, but because I got the system, she got a healthy scholarship. the way we were able to save on tax strategies to pay for her tuition. She's in a 5-year architecture program. It just now she has a future, and it doesn't matter if mommy could afford to support her or not. She can do it on her own 2 feet, which is what you want for your kids, or at least I do.
Absolutely. And I love the way that you reframe everything, because people are afraid of their credit card bill. You say open it, use it to your advantage. It's just a number. It's not going to bite you. It's going to be an indicator of what you need to do to solve any problem, or what your lifestyle is and how we can change that. Like numbers are more than that. There's a story there. And also you're refraining what accounting is and what like fractional, what a CFO does. And many people think it's like auxiliary perhaps, or even the necessary
Yes,
evil. That's how they framed it. But you're
right.
saying this is a wonderful place to be in. You can do so much, and you can be creative, you can be resourceful, you can learn to be inquisitive, you can project yourself. And I find, like, because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, I see a lot of them like chasing revenue and ignoring what really builds wealth, which is, to me, it's the cash flow story. Like where
Mhm.
you produce cash flow. Cash flow to me has always been, like, people say cash is king or cash is trash, depending on where we are in the investment cycle. But to me, cash flow is the angel. Like, it'll save you out of everything, it'll get you out of everything. And cash flow is really where the most value comes out. As like your position as a fractional CEO and tax strategist, what is the things that entrepreneurs or perhaps business owners get wrong the most about money and long-term planning?
So I want to backpedal a second around credit card, and
Sure.
also just share, in case somebody is out there. I was afraid of my credit card too. If the bill would come, I would like be in shivers. Until one day I said that ain't gonna happen anymore. Like, the mailman is not looking for that for me. Like, why am I giving him the evil eye? So I just put myself on my own system, and I would pay it every Friday and Monday. I would end the week and start the week and make sure the card was paid, because I did not want that big bill. And when I shared this to certain clients, they were like, pay your credit card in advance? I'm like, what's worse, that big number at the end of the month, or having a control so that your credit card is not being taken away and it's something that you're afraid of? So if that helps anybody, you could pay it off quicker. You could pay it in advance. You could also just use a debit card, which I personally use a lot, where I don't lean on credit, simply because I'd rather just pay my expenses. There's times when I do dip into credit card. I just developed a process that I stopped being afraid of something that I needed. And look, at a point in business, I did need credit card. And I would say at that point it was helpful. But to answer your question around fearful, is thinking that you can do it, thinking that it's only for everybody else and not yourself, thinking that it's impossible and it will never work out. The never ending game of, it's hard, and the filter that there's not possibilities and not being curious is really what's hurting you. Seeing what's on the other side. Now, when you look at things, meet yourself where you're at. And whether it's ugly, pretty, maybe in between, maybe all of it, it's okay. And I remember the first day I did this practice, and I put it on the spreadsheet. I did it with my first coach, and I was like, okay, we've got work to do. And I would sit in my Excel sheet every single day, and I would write myself down notes on what was happening and how I felt about it and what I didn't want to see anymore, like the honest to Godish truth. And the only person who saw it was me in Excel. And I did let my coach at the time, because I wanted the accountability. And I had a choice for it to show up that way, or to continue to do things differently, because the person who was suffering was me. And when you choose to meet yourself where you're at, it's the first step. The magic is on the other side. Get intimate with your numbers. Like, you want to get intimate with a friend, get intimate with the numbers. Like, literally, take your bank statement, take your credit card when you go to sleep, and lay down next to it. I promise you nothing will happen. What will happen, you're going to remember me and my face telling it to you, and you're going to be like, okay, bank statement, I know you're there. Credit card, you're there too? Okay, okay. But at least we met today and we take steps. And with those steps, you build on it. If we're charging on the credit card too much, let's evaluate into necessities. You know, at a point in my life, I dropped everything that wasn't a necessity, food, clothing, and shelter. And I literally dropped everything. I was obsessed with like pocketbooks and shopping. And I gave myself like a ridiculous budget that I knew was hard for me, like $500 a month. And I would go into Marshall's and feel like a queen because I would spend like $100 and get a shirt for $20. But what was happening was is that what I was really ignoring was happening through shopping and through other activities that I was stuck paying the bill. So when you see money as a friend, like think about it like this. When you have air, there's an unlimited amount of air. Do you worry about air? No. Think about abundance that way and think about money that way. There's an unlimited amount that the more you breathe easier, that's how much money there is in the world. And if somebody else is doing it, it's right there waiting for you available. So next time you're afraid of money, take a deep breath and just think, there's so much air available, and air is just like money. It's the same thing. And if you reframe the belief around money, you just think like, what could be possible now? Okay, there's unlimited. What do I want now? Choose one challenge or one goal and then see backwards from it. So you want to make, I'm going to make this up, 10,000 a month, break it down. 10 possibilities, 5 possibilities, and then work the ladder from there. When you wake up and you think of things that way, it will get hard. I'm not going to tell you life is not linear. And I still have challenges. Now, my next level of growth, it requires more of me. So, what I used to do, I need triple, in terms of my well being to get there. However, the ripple effect of the rewards is even bigger because I'm helping more people. While you start to think about the words possibility, curious, what are my options? And move away from black and white, light and dark, things that are just the way it should be. There's so much more that could happen. And when you see that, just trust your gut. And there's no possibility you can go wrong because you're going to make a decision with the best information that you have at the time. So no decision is wrong. Don't beat yourself. Okay, I got this. I see what's happening here. Now, let me make another decision. And that's okay. I made wrong decisions. And now your comeback rate is what's important, how quickly you can come back up. And then when we increase our comeback rate over time, you just see more and more and more goodness. If it's more investing, coming on board for tax returns quicker than the day before, maybe 3 days before, we got you. It's all going to work.
I love the concept of seeing money as a friend because people do say, I don't care about money. Money is not important in my life. Money isn't, this is common. Some people say it. And when I've heard it, I've told people, change the word money to a friend's name. Say, oh, I don't need Margo. I don't like Margo. Margo is not important in my life. How is Margo going to be in my life?
Right.
How is Margo going to be my friend? When I need Margo, Margo won't be there. So as I say, I tell them like money is that's acceptable.
I love
And I
that.
have a secret to share, which is something my dad told me many years ago, but I didn't believe it until now, or now it triggered my memory.
Mm,
Is other than working with entrepreneurs, I also work with family offices, people that have more money than you can imagine. And they also suffer for the credit card bill. They also suffer from the credit card. It's not everybody suffers.
mm-hmm.
Everybody suffers. And yet the lesson my dad gave me many years ago, he said, think before you spend.
Mm-hmm.
He said, it's that easy. If you're gonna sit with your credit card bill, it's gonna stink every single time, no matter how much money you have. People think, oh, if you have a million, it's not gonna affect a $10,000 credit card bill. You'll be pissed off too. You'll be like, why? Like nobody's gonna be like, oh, wonderful. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to have that relationship. But if you just think before you spend, you think, do I want this pain? Do I want to suffer for this?
Uh,
Then you kind of have like a little bit more restriction. You know, I think that that is something that as a society we need to learn to not have instant gratification every time. To say, do I want to suffer for this? Do I want to learn from this? And maybe then you can cuddle with your credit card bill.
you can also use the need versus want. You
Yeah,
know, is a need or do I want it? If it's a need, then go for it. But if it's something that you want that you can do without, then, walk away. Because like you said, when you review it, it's going to stink. When I did work I did work more in wealth family offices. I would say that the credit card bill was always like days of tension because there was multiple cards and different reasons. And it just was because they had a lot, but it still brought down the same concepts. So whether you're at 250,000, 250 million, 25,000, wherever you are, the same things come about no matter where you are. That's why I created in our foundations of my course, it's teaching people it doesn't matter. It's just it matters differently where you are on the journey.
yeah. And I want to go into that, you teaching mindset in your, because I love it. It's like math. Everybody associates like accounting and finance with math, but it's really, I experienced this myself. I studied all the investment stuff, and then when I deal with clients, I'm talking like a psychologist. I'm like, I'm not trained for this.
Hmm.
When you teach mindset in your courses, what is one belief about money or success that is sort of the hardest one to unlearn?
Be, do, have instead of have, be, do.
Be, do, have.
Be the person who you want to be, do the activities, and you will have it. If you want to have it first, it doesn't happen.
I love it.
And
I love it. Yeah.
when you be, do, have, it's a very different way of living than have, be, do. Because when you think you have to have it first to be it, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And when people make decisions, it's their best opportunity or best guess at the time. It doesn't mean that a magic wand was waved and the right decision just came down and was like, okay, you know, but I teach a lot of concepts in there so people can reframe it and see the different ways across the journey. Because you can be at 25,000, you could be at zero, you could be at 250 million. It really doesn't matter. And I've seen people where it's all walks of life have the same things. And when those patterns come in, it really becomes that when your mind shuts down and runs you, it's really taking run space for no reason. And it's taking the run space that's running your decisions. It becomes like triggers and reactions. But when you know how to connect within and really make decisions over principles, you know, it's not necessarily mind over matter, but it's the principles on how you make decisions and have like, I call it like my Margo handbook, where you would take my concepts and then remake it for your business and your way of life. But the be, do, have is one of the most important things so that no matter where you are, you're creating it from the get-go. You're not expecting.
Absolutely. It's the common question, or like, you know, the bar question of, if you won $1 million, what would you do? But it's not really what you would do. It's who would you be is the right
Where'd you
question.
be?
Who would you
Right.
be to be able to manage that million? To what would you do differently? And if you think, oh, I'm not going to do anything different, you're wrong, because that's why you don't have it. you have to change yourself, and there's a metamorphosis of yourself to get to that level, like you did with your own life. What do you think, what was the most surprising change that you had to do with your own finances, or maybe with your own companies, to get to where you are today?
I always had to see the truth for what it was. And when I saw the truth for what it was, it's really the mindset that built everything. Because at the end of the day, if there was a bill that was stuck, I was stuck paying for it. And the mindset is always every day also that you need to talk to your clients like as if you just met them, and that you're still being interviewed because you can get fired any day. There's no guarantee. And the way I used to be was very reactionary too. I used to be on the spot, and I was a lot in the ego. And it's not necessarily blaming how I grew up and how I was taught, but that's where it came from. And when I saw it wasn't working for me, it was ugly. It was really ugly. And I didn't like it, let alone, I would get work, and then sometimes like I would feel terrible after things happen. And I was like, who was that? And I was like, I don't want that for myself. So if you think about how I've brought this together at this point, I didn't want how money was working for me. I didn't want how my mindset was working for me. So the shifting of that, how you do one thing is how you do another. And it all just comes. And then you just have space in your life to do things. Like I told you, I like to shop. I like to cook. After this, I'm going to go make some chicken soup. I'm going to go for a walk with my dog. And who knows what else I have. Because I can, and I planned my time that way. When you're intentional, so much more comes out.
I love it. It's so powerful, and perfect segue to, you said how you started, where you are, what's next for you personally and professionally. What big dreams are you quietly working on?
So many. Okay. So many. So this year we are we are working on a lot of things. So we are working on our communities to go on a separate platform. We are also working on, I don't think my book will be this year. I have a feeling it'll be next year. What I thought was one book is kind of like a series. We just re-evolved our YouTube channel. A lot of my trainings are on there. Our courses are up. Some of them are on the website now. And I may split the business into more than one, because we service two industries. We service real estate and mental health, and they're both growing in so many different ways. But the part with the communities where I'm really, really excited is more around the entrepreneurship journey, the growth, because the growth is really what people are asking for, somehow more than tax. They're missing the middle, but they're asking a lot for the growth. So there's so many things. There's so much. Personally, I'm going to be investing in the next few months. I'm going to be buying another home and probably putting away, in terms of which you'll help me. I want to invest more into my future. I think I want to buy in Miami or something. I don't know. So in case you thought I wasn't busy.
I kind of threw a bomb question. I knew I was gonna get so much back. I want to pull on the community, because like, you're very big on this, on the community aspect, on helping others, on growing together, and now this entrepreneurial angle, which I think is interesting. What draws you to the community side?
So recently I started to host some private Q&As, just free, complimentary, and I saw the power of how everybody was working together. And there's this part around competition that I really wanted to, I was feeling a lot in my journey, and it was holding me back. And then I started to host these Q&As really just for free, and seeing how business owners were helping each other, it just was amazing to watch. I also realized that there's only so much a one-on-one can do without the accountability of seeing that the joint ventures of working with other people in the industry is so freaking powerful. I've learned a lot from my joint ventures with other people, and how they'll frame it also, or the focus, has really helped me nail down even more things and really be more hyper focused. So I really just decided this community because I want people to see that you can talk about it. It's not taboo. You know, how you frame it or how you write it, maybe in a community, I can see why maybe that's a little scary, but I'll work principles around that to help people. Um, but chances are there's at least 50 people out there who have the same problem. And once I let those guards down and I had it for myself, I was like, this is amazing. You know, I don't have to sit there and build more communities, more followers, and the right followers. You know, I do spend a lot of time for the right following for our ideal clients, because we spend a lot of time, I spend a lot of time on my content, but I love every minute that it speaks to the pains, fears, and desires. So look, in the real estate industry, for instance, let's say, you know, a lot of it is in the ego and the mind, the mental health, they're emotional. Entrepreneurs in general, like coaches and consultants, they speak to generalizations and not to actual pains, fears, and desires. And when people get together, there's really just a ripple effect that happens, that you realize there's so many more lives that can change. And I'm going to close this part with a story. I'm now working on this joint venture with somebody. And in our first, I knew her from like some group. And at first I couldn't nail it. And then when she told me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And we were talking, and literally her skills, it's not that I couldn't do it. I don't need to be every trade, but she has exactly what was like, it would complement what we're already doing. So now we're building like this masterclass workshop together. And it just, when we started to tell people, they were like, can we get on your wait list? And I was like, we didn't even make a wait list yet. Like it just was amazing. So just the beauty when you see like this, the effect, you could probably make more money quicker. And then somebody else is really rooting for you. So now her community is rooting for me. I'm rooting for her. It just becomes, there's just so much goodness.
I love it. Margo, this was pure gold. I thank you for not just dropping like all these insights, but giving us your story and being vulnerable. I really like that you're reframing numbers. I think people need to stop thinking of financial like fog or jargon as scary words or a horror movie. I really can't recommend you enough.
Thank
And
you.
I'm definitely gonna drop all the links in the show notes. And then until next time, I think people should just go look at your numbers.
And let me know that it happens. Okay. I would love for you to reach out and just send me a thumbs up or something here, just so that we know. And whatever you liked, just sharing is caring. And I'm so grateful that I got to talk today. Thank you so much for having me. This means
Of
so
course,
much.
it was a pleasure. It was really a pleasure. Thank you for coming again.
You're so welcome. Talk soon.